You know, there was numerous great teams in Major League Baseball of the 1990s, but for us in Canada, the Montreal Expos' best season ended because of a player strike and took away what was going to be an obvious world championship for the troops of the tricolor. The idea of the Expos entering the 1994 season, they won 87 games in 92 and in 94-93 and finished second in the NL East both seasons behind, of course, the Braves. Now, the Expos entering the 94 season were recognized as having a strong team, but their hopes of winning the division were significantly impacted by realignment, as the three-time defending West Division champion Atlanta Braves were shifted to the East. Sorry about that. It wasn't Atlanta. My apologies. I spoke a little bit ahead. Now, Atlanta opened the season with 13 wins in 14 games and quickly opened up an 8.5 game lead on Montreal. However, by late June, the Expos had moved to 2.5 games back when they hosted the Braves in the cavernous but beautiful Olympic Stadium. Now, Montreal won 2 out of 3 games of the series, including a late-game victory in the opener over future Hall of Famer Greg Maddux that the players viewed as the turning point of their season. Now, Montreal then embarked on a West Coast road trip in which they won the final 5 games and entered the All-Star break in first place. The Expos eventually pulled away from the Braves after the break. Between July 18th and August 11th, Montreal won 20 games and lost only 3. For the second time in team history, 5 players were named All-Stars: Moises Alou, Will Cordero, Darren Fletcher, Marquise Grissom, and Ken Hill. Now, the offense, which was led by, again, Grissom, Alou, the great Hall of Famer Larry Walker, possibly the greatest Canadian baseball player of all time, and Will Cordero, scored more than 5 runs per game. With a record of 74-40, they were on pace for a 106-win season, as the pitching staff with Butch Henry, Ken Hill, Jeff Facero, and a young Pedro Martinez, who was picked up from LA for a song, put up the National League's best ERA. Now, the Expos had the best record in baseball on the morning of August 12th, when the MLB players went on strike. The season began without a collective bargaining agreement, as MLB's owners could not agree on how to share revenue between teams. Many squads were unwilling to agree to revenue sharing unless a salary cap was put in place, something the MLB Players Association adamantly opposed. Unable to come to an agreement, the owners attempted to unilaterally force their system to effect, prompting the players to walk out. Most of the players believed we would be back in the field by Labor Day, which was celebrated on the same date as the U.S., as the latest. On September 14th, following a month of fruitless negotiation, the remainder of the season was cancelled. The franchise will never reach the playoffs as the Expos again. Now, they lost in 81 to the Dodgers in 5 games, Monday on Monday, so that's the only other time that Montreal made the postseason. But 94 was a special year. There was a good vibe. They were becoming... the Blue Jays weren't as strong as the previous World Series teams, and everybody was hoping for an all-Canadian World Series, which would kind of exploded the myth that there was no good baseball in Canada by a certain announcer from the States. Now, from Brochu's perspective, the owner, a salary cap was not a major concern for the Expos, as they could not afford to spend the maximum value on any negotiated cap. But when the strike ended 8 months later, by the order of the United States federal judge Sonia Sotomayor, the failure to implement strong revenue sharing was a major blow to the Expos. The team had already built a reputation as a penny-pinching organization, as Larry Walker once complained to the media that the team asked the players to buy their own vitamins. They had the second lowest payroll in MLB in 1994. Following the strike, the team initiated a fire sale of players. Ken Hill, John Wetland, and Marquise Grissom were traded, while Larry Walker was allowed to leave as a free agent to Colorado. Alou, Martinez, and Mel Rojas would eventually follow. In his book, My Turn at Bat, Brochu argued that the fire sale was the only viable option, since his partners in the ownership group were not interested in financing the team's losses. Brochu estimated that he had tried to keep the 94 team together. The Expos would have lost $25 million in 95, which would have pushed the franchise to the edge of bankruptcy. He claimed that he would have certainly kept Hill, Wetland, Grissom, and Walker had the partners been willing to put up the money necessary to keep them in Montreal. When Brochu told GM Kevin Malone that Hill, Wetland, Grissom, and Walker all had to go, Malone tried to persuade Brochu to keep at least one of them. but this was to no avail. Brochu told Malone that all they had to be off the roster by the deadline for salary arbitration, even though this made it all but impossible to get any leverage on possible deals. As a result, the Expos, again, got almost nothing in return. Now, the strike and ensuing fire sale left fans in Montreal livid. The Expos finished last in the NL East in 95, and the average game attendance fell by nearly 26%, from 24,000 to 18,000. And again, interest in the Expos continued to decline in the years that followed. Now, the Braves won 11 straight NL East titles following the strike, and Montreal eventually moved to Washington, which was a bunch of collusion anyway. We won't go into that. But that 94 team, there was a buzz again. Atlanta brought out the best in Montreal. Not because he played them all the time, is because to be strong, you got to have somebody to chase. You're seeing this year with the Blue Jays are chasing Boston and the Yankees for the wild card. They're not going to catch up with the Rays. But the kids are giving everything they can because they want to do well. But the team itself, it wasn't like your typical good mix of players. It was your typical, best seasons all together. But Larry Walker and Moises Alou and Grissom, they feel a lot like the Blue Jays. Ken Hill, and some people feel is a little bit overrated. I don't think so, but they could have easily got a couple of players in free agency that were on the downturn in their career. But you know what really hurt the Expos, and a lot of people don't know this, they had made an original bid for Reggie Jackson years ago, and it didn't work out. And Steinbrenner brought him into New York. Now, if Reggie Jackson would have came to Montreal, you would probably have still seen a Montreal Expos franchise, because all you have to do is put Reggie Jackson 44 on an Expo jersey. People in Canada would be still wearing it. So we weren't getting the players we needed to get. We're lucky to get Pedro, but Pedro wasn't Pedro at the time. He was just the brother of Ramon and not really known besides, the Montreal and LA media. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're a Canadian fan, when Larry Walker officially got in the Hall of Fame this week, a lot of thoughts go back. But just to think, 27 years ago, it proved the fact that if you're not given an opportunity to get to the next level, your franchise could fold or move. And that's what happened with Montreal. A lot of Canadian franchises have folded since then. I'm taking Vancouver Grizzlies, but that was because of a lack of victories. But you look at the Winnipeg Jets, and but they got the Jets back later. But it was a weird time because the Canadian dollar was low. There was the Canadian teams weren't getting enough media money. CBC was still involved with broadcasting, and also with the Blue Jays on and off. So it was a weird time. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you look back at '94, and you were in your teens back then, you're saying, what did we miss? Well, baseball not having Montreal, like Larry Walker said in his induction speech, is not the same. I think we should make every effort to bring baseball back to Montreal. Get a nice outdoor stadium. Don't use Olympic Stadium. 35,000, 40,000. Charge $1,000 a ticket, or I don't know. Move Toronto to Montreal for 1 year. Call them the Montreal Blue Jays or something. That would be amazing. But if Montreal's going to come back, it needs to be in the American League, in my personal opinion. Thanks for listening. Bye.